Before we get into it, let me show you some of the reviews people have left for the MacBook Air M5 on Amazon because sometimes buyers just get it. 2 stars. Quote, "My old laptop sounded like a dying lawnmower. This one is silent. I no longer have an excuse to leave meetings early. 1 star for my social life." Okay. 5 stars. Quote, "Battery life is so good I forgot chargers exist. My family thinks I've finally gotten my life together. I have not. Valid. 5 stars. Quote, "It's so thin I lost it under a piece of paper. Spent 40 minutes looking. It was right there." 5 stars. Still. Fair enough. 5 stars. Quote, "Bought this for light work. I have not done any work. It runs Spotify flawlessly though. No notes. I mean, 5 stars. Quote, "My PC colleagues keep asking what laptop that is. I just slowly close the lid so they can see the Apple. I am a different person now." Noted. 1 stars. Quote, "1 star. It's so fast it finished my spreadsheet before I could pretend I was still working on it. My boss is suspicious. Respect." Alright, let's actually get into the MacBook Air M5 review. Here's something nobody told you about the MacBook Air M5. It's so fast that Apple's own MacBook Pro team should probably be a little nervous right now. We've been using both the 13-inch and 15-inch for several weeks, and I'm going to give you the full honest picture today. So let's get straight to it. The MacBook Air M5 is without question the best thin and light laptop you can buy in 2026. The M5 chip is a genuine leap. Battery life is still outrageous, and this machine handles AI workflows, 4K video editing, and even light gaming without breaking a sweat, all with no fan, no vents, and no noise whatsoever. We're giving it a 9.4 out of 10. If you're coming from an M1 or M2 machine, start saving now. M3 and M4 users, you're fine for another cycle, but when you do eventually upgrade, you're going to be floored. Alright, let's talk about what you actually get in the box, because Apple keeps this beautifully simple. You've got the MacBook Air itself, a USB-C charging cable, and a power adapter. That's it. No clutter, no accessories you'll never use, no instruction manual thicker than a novel. Classic Apple. The moment you pick up the laptop, the first thing you notice is how light it is. The 13-inch especially feels almost suspiciously light for something this powerful. The build quality is, as always, immaculate. The all-aluminum chassis feels solid and premium, the hinge opens smoothly with one hand, and the finish, whether you go midnight, starlight, sky blue, or space gray, looks genuinely gorgeous in real life. The keyboard is the same excellent Magic Keyboard we've come to love. The trackpad is enormous and glass smooth, and the display bezels are slim enough that the screen feels really present when you open it up. First impressions are very, very strong. This is a machine that feels worth the money before you've even turned it on. Now let's talk specs, and I'm going to keep this in plain English because the numbers only matter if you understand what they mean for you. The M5 chip uses a next-generation 3nm process. What that means in practice is that Apple has packed in more performance while actually improving efficiency. You get a 10-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores. Translation: it screams when you need it to and goes into whisper mode when you don't, which is a huge part of why the battery life is so impressive. The GPU has been bumped to 10 cores, which is a significant jump over the M4 Air and genuinely changes what this machine can handle graphically. We're talking smooth 4K timelines, real-time effects, and gaming performance that would have required a Pro chip just a couple of years ago. The neural engine is next generation and specifically optimized for Apple Intelligence features, which means on-device AI tasks, writing tools, image generation, smart replies, run locally and fast without sending your data anywhere. Base configuration starts with 16 gigabytes of unified memory, which in Apple Silicon terms is genuinely usable for demanding tasks, and storage starts at 256 gigabytes, though honestly, if you're doing any media work, spring for 512 or more. The display is the same stunning liquid retina panel, 2560 by 1664 on the 13-inch, with excellent color accuracy and brightness that holds up well outdoors. And the MagSafe charging port is back, which means you can charge without sacrificing either of your Thunderbolt ports. Small thing, big quality of life improvement. So how does all of this actually feel day to day? In a word, effortless. That's genuinely the best way I can describe it. You open apps and they're just there. You've got 40 browser tabs open, Spotify running, a Slack call happening, and a Lightroom export going in the background, and this machine doesn't even flinch. No fan noise, because there is no fan. No thermal throttling, just quiet, consistent performance. We edited a 4K timeline in Final Cut Pro for an extended stretch, and the preview was smooth throughout. Rendering times that used to require a MacBook Pro are now handled by the Air without drama. We also tested some local large language models, running AI inference directly on the device, and the M5's neural engine handles it with an ease that still feels a little surreal. For everyday creative work, photo editing, writing, design, video, This laptop is more than enough. For developers running multiple environments and builds simultaneously, it holds up impressively well. The one thing to keep in mind is that sustained heavy workloads over very long periods will eventually hit thermal limits because without active cooling, there's a ceiling. But for most people, even most professionals, you will never get anywhere near that ceiling in real use. Day to day, this thing is an absolute dream. Let's dig into the genuine strengths because there are a few worth calling out specifically. First, the battery life is still class leading. We consistently got between 14 and 18 hours of real world use, not Apple's controlled benchmark numbers, actual mixed use with browsing, writing, video calls, and media playback. On lighter days, this thing genuinely gets through 2 full workdays on a single charge. That is not something most Windows Ultrabooks can come close to matching, and it transforms how you think about working away from a desk. Second, the fanless design is not a compromise anymore. In previous generations, people worried that removing the fan meant sacrificing sustained performance. The M5 chip is efficient enough that the air stays cool and consistent through tasks that would have made earlier fanless machines throttle hard. The silence is genuinely lovely, especially if you work in quiet spaces or record audio or video and can't have fan noise bleeding into your microphone. Third, the display and webcam combination is genuinely excellent for a laptop in this category. The liquid retina screen is bright, sharp, and color accurate enough for professional photo and video work, and the front-facing camera combined with Apple's Center Stage feature makes video calls look noticeably better than most competing laptops. These are things you interact with every single day, and Apple has nailed both of them. Now, to be fair, and we always try to be fair here, the MacBook Air M5 is not perfect, and there are some real limitations worth knowing before you buy. The port situation remains frustrating. You get 2 Thunderbolt ports and the MagSafe charging port, and that is it. No SD card slot, no HDMI. If you need to connect to an external display, plug in a camera card, or hook up a USB-A peripheral, you're buying a hub or a dock. For a laptop that many professionals rely on as their primary machine, this feels like a genuine gap that Apple continues to ignore. The base storage of 256 gigabytes is also still a sticking point. In 2026, with project files, OS updates, AI model downloads, and app sizes ballooning, 256 gigabytes disappears uncomfortably fast. You'll almost certainly want to configure up to 512 gigabytes at purchase, and Apple's storage upgrade pricing is notoriously steep. It's worth factoring that into your actual budget from the start, rather than discovering it after the fact. And finally, the screen, while beautiful, is still a 60 Hz panel. If you're coming from a Windows machine or an iPad Pro with a ProMotion display, the lack of a higher refresh rate is noticeable in scrolling and animation smoothness. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a spec that competitors at this price point are beginning to address, and it remains a genuine omission that Apple should really fix in the next generation. We always like to hear from people who've actually bought the thing, so let's get into some real buyer reactions. One buyer wrote, "I used to think all-day battery was marketing speak. Then I forgot my charger at home for 3 days and still made it to Friday. I'm a believer now." Another said, "Bought it to edit YouTube videos, ended up using it to run an AI model, edit a short film, and settle several arguments about whether the MacBook Air can replace a Mac Studio. Spoiler, it might be able to." And our personal favorite, "My coworker bought the MacBook Pro. I bought the MacBook Air M5. We did the same tasks. He spent $800 more. We don't talk about it." Look, buyer sentiment across the board is overwhelmingly positive. The consistent themes are the battery life, the performance to weight ratio, and the general feeling that this machine does more than people expected. Complaints center around the port selection and storage pricing, which, as we covered, are legitimate and worth planning for. So here's the bottom line. Buy the MacBook Air M5 if you want the best all-around laptop available right now, especially if you're upgrading from an M1 or M2 generation machine where you will feel an enormous immediate difference. It's built for professionals, creatives, students, and anyone who values silence, portability, and performance in one beautifully made package. Skip it, or at least wait, if you're already on an M3 or M4 Air and your current machine handles everything you throw at it comfortably. The upgrade is real, but it's not urgent if you're already in that generation. And if you need more ports than Apple is willing to give you, budget for a dock from day one. Final score, 9.4 out of 10. The best laptop of 2026 so far, and it's not particularly close. So, worth it or skip it? Drop your take in the comments below. I read every single one. If this review saved you some time or helped you make a decision, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel, and subscribe if you want a new honest review every single week. See you in the next one.